In 1993, a video game called Doom hit the shelves, and immediately it became the most hot topic software across the globe.
How do you escape this eternal damnation?
It was a game that people made a lot of memories with, which is why 3 decades later, it's still being talked about. But that's not all. It's one of the most modded games of all time. People are still making content worth millions of views. Some people, even companies, are still making cartridges to make the game run on even older consoles. And some people just went beyond that, because they were able to make this game run on the weirdest of devices, even something like a calculator or a pregnancy test. What's the reason behind this insanity? It's not just memory or nostalgia. The reason is that Doom is a very good game, because the kind of satisfaction you get by grabbing a double-barrel shotgun and making a red pool of blood, or melting the skin off a demon with a plasma rifle. Gameplay like this still holds up even 30 years later. You can grab a newer game, play it, finish it, delete it, and never ever look at it again. But one simply cannot do that with Doom. The older it gets, the more fun it becomes. Now, unfortunately, Doom never happened in the South or most of the Central Asian regions. That is because when Doom was at its peak, then at least in South Asia, computers were a rare thing. And by the time when computers did become common in the early 2000s, then Doom wasn't the best looking game at the time, so people barely knew about it. Nobody even tried to play it because of how ugly it was. But we have a different story to tell. Launched in December of 2000, Project I.G.I became Asia's answer to Doom in a conversation of nostalgia and popularity. There is no track of how many copies this game sold, but considering the population of the region, if not for the piracy problem, this could have easily been one of the best-selling games of all time. And the reason? The movement, the combat, the mechanics, the graphics, the interactability, the sound design, the music. It was so flawless. If you want to have some fun, just pick up a Spas 12 or a jackhammer and do this. If not those, then there were so many other guns to choose from, each one with its unique ability. Yes, the AI of the game was a bit exploitable and stupid.
Stop it!
But that didn't stop people from having fun. And what's the reason this time? Well, it's basically the same as Doom's, but this one has a lot more to offer than just shooting. In I.G.I, every single action you perform, it feels like it's hooked up into your veins. If it's climbing on a ladder, reloading a weapon, swinging a knife, or opening a door, every single action had this kind of a satisfaction to it. Yes, it was because of the brilliant sound design of the game, which was a miracle considering the year it was released in. And don't forget that...
Hey, you! Stop there!
Listening to that was a nightmare, since Project I.G.I is not the easiest game to mod. That is why we are unable to see any creativity, any new maps. People did try, but the structure of this game's engine was a bit too complicated, so people just made their own versions of the same maps in different other games, because that was the most they could do. Now, it's very clear that this game was successful, but not to the people who made it, instead for the people who like to sail the seas. We will be getting into that shortly, but first we need to figure out how is this game still alive. So before we start talking about that, don't forget to hit the red alarm button. I mean this one. And enjoy the video.
I'm at the chopper cruise you requested. 0500 was damn early.
Project I.G.I was released in 2000, but we got introduced to it a bit later. By that time, the sequel was already out. The sequel was kind of a disappointment, and that's going to be a separate video explaining to you what went wrong. But the first game's popularity never lost its prime. It went on. I remember playing it as late as 2010, when it was still popular, and the markets were flooded. The CDs were selling like crazy. People wanted more of I.G.I. People wanted more of the same feeling what they felt in the first game. And that is where scammers joined forces with the pirates. In the regions I mentioned, the copyright protection law is not strict, which is why all of the I.G.I discs that were sold were pirated. And that is where scammers did their art. So many other cheap games were sold under the name of I.G.I. Even I got scammed once for playing I.G.I 5, which actually was a game called Terrorist Takedown. This trend went so bizarre. I remember a whole section in the shop carrying I.G.I discs. Discs of I.G.I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It was endless. Here, take a look at what I found recently. Not just that, a couple of games went so hard that if you search for them now, they are actually being labeled as I.G.I 3. One of them is The Mark. And it's not the best game in the world, trust me. So if Doom became a meme of being able to play on every possible machine, then here I.G.I became a meme of putting every other game under its own name. Imagine Doom being sold as an I.G.I game. Now let's talk about what exactly did the game offer. Why did it become such a favorite? Well, each reason has its own significance. Since this game was considered really difficult in its time, then I am going to start with the gameplay and difficulty.
Hey, you!
If you played this game very recently, or after you played the newer games with their newer mechanics, then of course you're not going to like the fact that this game has absolutely no saves. But that is exactly what made it exciting. It made the game more intense. Because each time you start the mission, you take a good look at the base, you get to choose your own way, your own path, your own style of play. And if you failed, you can try something else the next time. You had some items at your disposal. You could use either a binocular to see where they are, or you could use the map computer. This was the coolest thing ever, to take a look at the guards and their movements. You could even see yourself. Then there's the enemy AI. I did say that they're quite dumb, but they take no time in draining your health. And the cool thing is, the way they react to everything. If you shoot them and miss, they would take a dive into cover. If you shoot them on the crotch, since this was supposed to be a stealth game, stealth is not an option in any scenario. But there's one. This mission used to be a nightmare. Your transport is smashed. The person you were supposed to deliver is kidnapped. You only have a knife. And now, following a single road, you need to sneak your way through, hiding from tanks and APCs, from choppers that can instantly kill you. Trying not to raise the alarm because that would wake up all of the tanks and APCs. It's the only mission that enforces stealth upon you. But the thing is, since you can carry unlimited guns, so the hidden and bonus items that you can find, they don't feel much. But in this mission, it's not just the hidden items. It's every single weapon you find. Everything in this level feels rewarding. And the health pack is the most unique in this game. This was one of the coolest mechanic in a video game. Filling your health this way, it's just so... it's satisfying. And did I talk about the satisfying gunplay? Well, I guess you've been watching it all along, so no need to explain that. Now let's talk about the second reason that this game became so famous.
Hey!
The terrain in Project I.G.I, it kind of looks pixelated and low textured, but then that's the only complaint you can do about the graphics. Because the weapon models, the buildings, the objects like vehicles, the planes, every single thing was top-notch for a 2000s game. Show me any other game of that era that can come as good as this game is. Look at that AK-47, damn. Even though every single mission used the same props, every location has the same buildings, and it should get repetitive. But that's not the case, because every single mission has a soul of its own. Some missions had the dark, overcast weather with rain, and the rain effects were gorgeous. Some missions were under broad daylight with a sunny day. Some missions were in the snow, and that gets really scary inside of a castle. Some missions had underground levels. They were interesting, But the levels that were outdoors, they were freaking huge. Since this game's engine was based on Joint Strike Fighter, which is an air combat game, the maps are really huge. It's not infinite because that's what people believed it to be, since you can just wander off in a single direction and it would literally never end. But in recent years, many content creators were able to get to the edge of the map. But what I mean to say is how gorgeous are the landscapes. It feels like it's calling to you, it wants you to explore it. You know there's nothing there, but you still want to go there. They kind of feel cozy in a way that I cannot explain. But that was the beauty of the locations in this game. The locations were also backed up by ambiance and music. The music was brilliant, designed by Kim Jensen. Let me give you a taste of how it sounds like. Specifically in this mission, the music is sad, it's depressing, but it's good. Way beyond explanation, it provides so much to the charisma of a mission. Some tracks do get a repeat in other missions, but that was okay because each track was so good to listen to, you wouldn't mind doing that a second time. Arguably the best soundtrack in the game is Resupply, but every single one is just as good to listen to. Some of the missions don't even have a soundtrack. They are just like flavored ambiance, but it does the job as good as you can expect. Listen to this. This has to be one of the most underrated music work by a composer. We are glad Kim Jensen exists. There are some other extra things that we need to talk about, like for example how good the camera movement of the game is, or how the game has bullet penetration mechanics. This game is not gory as Doom, but we did like blood in this game a lot. I mean, this used to be actually funny. The most interesting thing is the UI. Whenever you're about to interact with something, that little icon, that's so cute and elegant at the same time. And also the way it displays your ammo. And the story? Well, there isn't one. I mean, there is, but it's not something you'd care about. All you care about is the mission and the objectives. Just show me what to do. And that's exactly how the main character is designed to be.
The warhead.
Yeah. I need to know one thing. Where he is.
Stop!
Now the big question is I.G.I still worth playing in 2025? Absolutely yes. But if you're a new player who never experienced this game before, then you might not get used to the fact that you cannot save your game. It's not a problem for the very core audience, but for a player who's used to the new games with constant checkpoints, you could be impatient and this could be challenging to you. If you still want to try the game out, it is very recommended that you use Neonix patch. You can find it on Nexus Mods, because that is going to give you the ability to load the game with newer textures, better looking graphics, and since this is a work in progress mod, so you might be able to play the game in 60 FPS in the very near future. I did show you a few clips of the game running at 60 FPS, but it still has some problems to be dealt with and I am a playtester. So hopefully it will be implemented soon. I hope you liked the video. I'm sure there's a lot that you would disagree with, but you have to understand that most of the negatives is because you didn't play this game before and you're used to the newer mechanics that the new games provide. But if there's something you still think you can correct me with, feel free to do that in the comments and be seeing you in the next video. So hasta la vista, baby.